Well, okay, and welcome to another chapter in the Brian's Bus Adventure. As you can see, probably I'm up on my scaffolding now, and I'm going to address this hole, or at least as much of it as I can today. This is where a side marker was at, and this is where they had installed the kitchen vent. Did a very, I guess poor job of it, I guess is the way to put it. So I'm going to have to come back in here. This is all bondoed in here, and instead of fixing this here, they just went ahead and bonded over all of this rust. So what I'm going to need to do probably is come in here. Yeah, I can get back. I'm looking back inside here. Get back in there as much as possible and cut this back out again all the way up to this seam. Cut it back out. Or maybe drop it down a little bit below the seam because I'm going to have to drill into it still. Still drill into it in different spots here. And then rivet the new patch panel back in there. Take it clear back over to this seam right here. I may even have to go, yeah, I'll probably have to come down here on the inside and go back over this direction, then back down to almost to this seam and go across. And going to have to address this down here somehow also because it's proud of this. It overlaps it. This here should have been overlapped over this when they did the bus back in '99. And this, all this is just a water trap in through here, but really nothing I can do about that except put some good Sikaflex in there and come back and repair that. But again, that's what I'm doing right now. Going to try to cut as much of this out as possible. As you can see, my little cover is still up there, and I'll probably be using that again to cover this up. But this is what's going on. You keep finding new projects to do on the bus. It seems like sometimes you're never going to get to the end. You'll never get it finished, but just one thing at a time. And again, this is just another chapter in the Brian's Bus Adventure. Okay, y'all, still up here on top of the bus, and this is what I'm doing today. I am attempting to take all of this out. This is where the old vent for the stove was, and also one of the running lights was up here. But when they converted it from a bus into a motorhome, they just kind of pieced this thing together very haphazardly, not wanting to take care of the rust, not wanting to do the seams correctly, not wanting to do much of anything here on the bus, which is a real shame because it's just causing more and more trouble for us down the line here. And everybody's going, well, why are you fixing this so well? Well, it's because that's just the way I am. It's going to be done right. It's going to be done right the first time. Here, rust here, all the way through. Rust all the way through here. Rust around this part around this part right here. And it all just needed to be addressed. All they had to do was go in and put some stop rust in this. And that's what I'm going to do. I don't think, well, I was thinking I was going to cut it across here, but with this all gone here, I don't know how I can do that. I may have to come back in here and just completely fiberglass this whole thing in and then come back and treat it that way. But it's just a shame. It's taken me a couple hours to drill all this out, actually chisel it out with my hammer and chisel over there. It took a good hour to do that. But again, that's what I'm doing today. I can't, the wires here to this side light, the marker light, are not hot. And I don't know how to trace it down because it's all inside the bus now. And there's no way of finding out where that wire even comes from. But, you know, this is what we're doing today on the Brian's Bus Adventure. Hope you enjoy your day. Okay, y'all, continuing on with this little saga here of this old stove vent and side light. As you can see, I've pretty well taken the majority of the rust out, what I can take out. I'm going to have to just cover this with some plate, I think, for the first application, and then come back and use some fiberglass after that. But what I did is I took my little old grinder, my little Harbor Freight grinder, and took, like I said, the majority of the rust out. This kind of, I shouldn't say it surprises me. This is definitely old school. This plate was brazed in there with the bronze rod, which I guess was cool back in the day. It really was, really. That's the way they did it back then. But now I'm going to come back over this with some of this sandable primer and kind of clean this all up as much as possible again. And then I'll probably come in with a plate behind this and weld it as a kind of like a support in the back of it. And then after I get that welded in, I will come back and treat the front part also. So again, trying to get past this rust, trying to get this taken care of. And again, I'm going to do it to the best of my ability here and see if it's going to last maybe another 20 years. It should. Anyway, this is the Brian's Bus Adventure. Now this is what's nice about primer, about good primer. This is a good sandable primer. You can sand it either wet or dry. But see, now you can really see where all of the faux pas are in this thing. Excuse me. And you can see where it needs to be filled. And you actually could come back with filler and fill this, filler meaning some kind of Bondo, but that's really not the most correct way to do it. It is a way to do it. But I think I'm going to come back here, not with Bondo, but with some fiberglass. And that will reinforce it, strengthen it, and then make it ready for painting later on. But again, you can do it either way. But again, you can see right here, oh, that's bad, and right there is really bad. But again, with some good treatment, this should come out okay. And again, just another step in this chapter in the Brian's Bus Adventure. Okay, y'all, the next step on this is to make me a template that I can use to go ahead and cut this this metal out with, so I can cover this up, get it in there, and hammer it in place, and then go ahead and put some clecos in it, and then put some of the fasteners that will fasten it down temporarily. I'll put some Sikaflex behind it and put the rivets in, drill some holes, put the rivets in it. Well, first the clecos go in, and then the rivets will go in later. But right now I'm making a template. I just put some yellow masking tape around the hole there, and then kind of felt as to where how big I need it to be and where I need it to go. And then I've taken an X-Acto knife and went down these lines. So next I'll just pull off the excess tape, and then I should have a template left on the bottom. Well, let's see what happens. Yeah, as you can see now, I kind of have a template, so now I'll remove this all off as one piece, and that will be the template for the metal insert that I'm going to put in here. And so let's just see if I can get that all off in one big piece now. Okay, as you can see, I do have it now taken off the bus. I've transferred it over to this really thin piece of metal. And this is going to be my primary template. I'll cut this out with some snippies, take it back out to the bus and see if that fits. And if I have to make some modifications, I'll do that. And then I'll get a thicker piece of sheet metal and go ahead and make the final insert out of that thicker metal and come back and start drilling it, putting the clecos in it, and then rivet it up. And of course with some Sikaflex behind it to make sure it's sealed. And that should do it for now. Yeah, and now I'm going to take off the blue template. Get it off without screwing it up. Well, I really don't care if I screw it up. I'll probably have it close enough. Well, let me see what I can do here. And then under that, we should have a beginning template for this metal. Again, this is really thin sheet metal here. And the problem is sheet metal is so thin, it's moving on me when I try to pull it off. One hand, one hand, one hand. Okay, that's the basic shape. Now I'm going to take my little electric snippies and see if I can draw some straight lines or cut some straight lines on this thing, and then put it back up in there and see if that's going to fit. That's next. Well, what do you think? I used my little snippy that I got over at Harbor Freight. Works pretty well after you've done it a few times. The first couple of times you use that thing, it's kind of like, what in the world? Actually, I thought I was going to take it back, and then I kind of got used to using it, and I'm not the best on it, but I can at least draw a straight line now. Anyway, let's take that back to the bus and gonna find out if it fits. Well, okay, here we are again, back on the 4108 Alpha, just another little chapter in the Brian Bus Adventure. Today what I've done is I have cut out that piece that's going to cover up that hole where that vent for that stove was, and for the light. And you can see this is the cover piece that I have in place in case it rained. It hasn't, but what I've done is I've shaped this, and this is a temporary fix right here. It's going to be a semi-permanent temporary fix, if that makes any sense at all, because it will be good enough to work, but it's not going to be good enough aesthetically. I'm going to have to come back and remake this out of a little bit thicker metal, and then come back and Bondo it in and do all that. But you can see back here, there is some crap back here, but by me marking these holes in the appropriate spot, that's where I'm going to drill, and that's where I'm going to put the clecos, and that's where I'm going to put the rivets. and I'll put the Sikaflex all the way around it on the inside of it, and fill this hole right here full of the Sikaflex. It should be fine. Anyway, that's what I'm doing now. I'm drilling, putting the Clecos in, then coming back, putting the Sikaflex around it, and then I'm going to put the rivets in it. And again, these will be, for lack of a better word, permanent temporary rivets. Okay, y'all, back again here. As you can see, I have somewhat shaped up this piece of metal to fit into this hole here. And I have drilled it out and also put as many Clecos as I have in place. There are some holes that are not filled. Like this one here and this one here, my drill bits broke, so I couldn't enlarge those and make them big enough. And I think this one here, I actually broke a drill bit off in. And maybe one of these two also. So tomorrow, I'm going to have to go to the box store and get some more drill bits, come back and drill these the rest of the way out. And then after I have all the rest of these drilled out, I got in some brass right here. Not good. Anyway, as soon as I get these all drilled out, I'll come back and apply the Sikaflex. Then I'll come back and apply the rivets, and then the 4108 will be just a little bit closer to getting down the road. This is a Brian's Bus Adventure. I hope you've enjoyed it today. If you like it, go ahead and hit the like button, share it with a friend, and also subscribe to it. And if you really like it, remember patreon.com/Brian's Bus Adventure. Have a good week. This is the Brian's Bus Adventure. Okay, just to give you a reference as to where that plate is, it is right up there. Again, that's where the old stove was. The propane stove was just south of that, down below that. And we've taken that out because we're using an induction stove now, so we don't need that hole. But I will have to enlarge it right at the very top of it, at the top of that T leg, upside down T, the leg on top, because there is a clearance light that goes there. So I'll put that in after I get everything sealed back up, but thought I'd just give you a little reference as to where this is going in.